Hello everyone, thanks for joining me today. I'm Jan Clothier and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in New Zealand. And today I thought I'd show you how I made these lovely little boxes as decorations and table favours for my Christmas dinner. Because every year I make what I consider to be my not Christmas crackers. I used to make Christmas crackers, and sometimes I make cracker shapes, and sometimes I make bags, and sometimes I make boxes. And always in my Christmas cracker there's always one of these little scratch tickets where you scratch away and you might win $5 or $10, and most of the time you win nothing, but it's just a nice little thing that you can all share around the table. And every year I have to fold them, scrunch them, roll them to get them to fit into whatever shape it is that I want them to be. So this year I thought, you know what, I'm going to make these the star of the show, and I'm going to custom make a box so that my little scratchy ticket can fit perfectly into the box. And I'm going to show you how I did that, because if you know how to do it, it means you can make it fit whatever it is that you want to put in a box, as long as it's not larger than a sheet of A4 paper. So I'm just going to pop those to the side, and I just measured up my little scratchy there. And I worked out that it would fit happily into a box that was going to be, it'll happily fit inside 10.5 centimetres, and it will happily fit inside 5.5 centimetres. So then it was a question of how tall did I want the side of the box to be? Well, I didn't want it to be dead flat, but I didn't want it to be really deep. So I went, 2 centimetres, that seems a reasonable figure. I could fit some stuff in with that. So it needs a side. Each side needs another 2 centimetres. And the end, because it's got to have a front of the box, needs 2 centimetres. And the back of the box needs 2 centimetres. Clearly I'm not being judged on my ability to draw a straight line. Okay, now I also need a lid. And the lid is going to be the same size as the bottom, so 10.5. And the sides are all going to be the same height, 2 centimetres, 2 centimetres, 2 centimetres. And so that rough bit of mishmash is going to let me work out how I'm going to make my base. 10.5, 21, 23, 25, 27 centimetres one way, and it's going to be 5.5 plus 4, 9.5. Okay, and so that is going to give me my working base. Now I'm using that beautiful, as you can see, that beautiful Traditions of Christmas DSP. Lots and lots of beautiful patterns. And I'm going to use a piece. I'm going to use that piece, I think. So I've got a choice of bases. Some of my boxes are made with Cherry Cobbler, some with Pool Party, and some with Secret Sea. I think I'm going to go with Secret Sea. Now, with the box this size, I can actually get 2 pieces out of, or 2 bases out of a single piece of A4. So it's going to be 9.5 centimetres wide, and it's going to be 27 centimetres long. So 27. And I've still got another half piece to make a base for my next box. So then it's a question of scoring it. So I've got my rough plan there, but in my head I know. Okay, so on the short side I need 2 centimetres, because that is the height of my base. So score. And I'm going to do the same thing at 7 and 7.5, because again it's 9.5 wide and I want my side of my box to be 2 centimetres. Okay, and then coming this way I'm going to score at 2 centimetres, because that's the height of the end of my box. Oops. Okay, 2 centimetres. 12.5 centimetres, 14.5 centimetres, and 25 centimetres. Okay, so that's pretty easy, just nicely scored. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to trim and get that ready to score and fold. That fold is the end, that is the base, that is the back, then there's the top, and then there is the front flap. So we're looking at this little narrow bit here, which is going to be the back of the box. It's going to be that part there of the box. So we're going to cut on the score lines to the 2 centimetre mark. And then we're just going to ever so slightly angle it to make a little tab. And then just a little bit off there, so I'll just straighten that up because I just missed the score line a little bit. Okay, you can always have a little check from the other side just to see. Right, and now we're going to do the same on the other side. Cut to that 2 centimetre score line and just a little tab on each of those just to make it easier to fold up. Now I could have burnished the score lines first, but I actually found it was easier to see where to cut if I did it second. And now what we're going to do at the ends is we're just going to cut. We're not going to cut it off, but we are just going to make a very slight tab on that little corner there. And we're going to do the same on the other side. We're not going to cut anything out or off. We're just going to make a cut and tab it slightly. And then we're going to do the same thing at that end. And we're making the tab on that little piece at the end, not the big long piece, just that little tiny, almost square there. And same there. And again, just to make it easier to fold up, we're just going to shave just a little piece off there. Okay, so this is what it looks like now, and we are going to just do the scoring, and once we've done the scoring you'll be able to see much more easily how it all fits together. So score, 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 and then there, there, and there, and there. So basically everywhere there's a score line, you just give it a good burnish so that it's going to fold together. You can sort of see how it's going to shape like that. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to find where we've done those little tabby lines, and whoops, I didn't bring my glue I'm currently using over to my filming table, so let's hope this one has got a bit of glue left in it. So we're just going to put some glue, and if you're a tape person, by all means use tape. Okay, so we're just going to do that, and then we're going to fold them inside like that and just give ourselves a nice square corner. A nice square corner. So what we're making now is we're making the bottom of the box. Okay, and then we're going to do the same, because that's the little back flap, that's the back of the box, and we're going to just put some glue or tape on that flap, and we're just going to fold it inside and make a nice square edge. There. And there. And then you can sort of see what we've got happening. We've got our little box and we've got our flip top lid. Now, there's a couple of things you can do. Well, I would do them before we go to the next step. To make it easy to see where to open the box, I've notched the edge. And that is definitely easier to do before you fold everything up. So it's 5.5 centimetres. So I'm going to make a mark at 2 3/4. And, you know, pick a random circular die or punch. I'm using a 1-inch punch that I had, but there's nothing magic about that. So I'm using that mark that I've centred. I'm going to centre it using my, what one of my card ladies calls her ichrometer. I'm going to use my ichrometer and just centre that, and out it pops. And if you haven't got a punch that's 1 inch, use something close to it, something that looks like it works, or you can even use a die. But all you're doing is just making it easier for people to see where to open the box and to get their fingers in so that they can do it. Okay, so when you've done that, we're just going to, oops, that bit hasn't quite fallen off. Okay, so we're going to glue or tape on the right side. And we're just going to, again, fold that in. And, oh, actually, no, we're not. Because it's easier if you do it when it's closed. Then you know that the box will close. So for this one, I'm actually going to fold it over the base of the box, which is why I did the base of the box first. Okay. So if you do it while the box is closed, you know that when you put it all together that the lid will fit. Okay, so I didn't just fold it into empty space, I closed the box and did the flap while the box was closed. Now you can see that because this piece here is quite long, much longer than it was on my original box that I found, that kind of pokes up a little bit. So there's two things that I'm going to do to help alleviate that problem. And one of them is that I'm actually going to just trim the corner. You can see here that I've angled the corners. So I'm just going to get my scissors and I'm just going to go on a 45-degree angle and snip. So that's one of the ways in which I'm going to try and eliminate, or at least minimize, that lift of the back corner. And we'll get on to the second one shortly. So there is actually the box pretty much done, as much as it oops. Give that a little bit more of a press, and if necessary, give it a bit more glue. Okay. Now I'm going to start filling it up. So I'm going to put in my little, look at that, perfect fit, and that was what I was aiming for. I'm going to put in a completely awful cracker joke and a little chocolate Santa and a couple of milkshakes. Okay, so that's going to be my little gift. And I mean, you could put, honestly, this box, you can fill it with what you like. You could put jewellery, you could put gift vouchers, you could fill it up with other sweets. You could, you know, have a little scarf, you know, a little handkerchief, you know, a box of tissues, tea bags and chocolate squares. Honestly, you can, whatever you want, you can put in it. Now, because the dimensions of this top box were 10.5 by 5.5, I've cut a piece of DSP out of a scrap that is 10 by 5. And then I'm just going to glue that on as soon as I get my glue operational again. Okay, so I've just cut it 0.5 centimetre smaller than the top, so 10 by 5. You can pop that on. And then, and of course you don't even have to use Christmas for this. This could be any occasion that you liked. You could make them for birthdays, you could make them for weddings, you could make them for whatever you want. Now the other thing I'm going to do to try and minimise that little bit of lift is I'm going to use a tie to close it. I mean, I don't need a tie to close it because it's perfectly closed, but you know, a decorative tie to sort of add to the sense of drama. Now, again, I'm going to cut around about 38 centimetres, and it is, you know, approximate, and I'm using that gold stripe mesh ribbon, which is so beautiful, and I'm just going to get in there and tie a bow, and that will help. Well, not only will it be more decorative and more festive, it'll just eliminate that little bit of lift at the back corner. Okay, so I might need a bit of faffery to get a really nice bow. Okay, and then I'll just trim that. And that would have been enough, but as you can see, what I've done with the other boxes that I've made is I just felt like they needed just a little bit more than that. And so all I did was I hunted through the stuff I had, and let me just find what I'm doing. Yeah, so I just used, I used a little bit of pine bough foliage from Branching Out. I love tailor-made tags, and even though they've retired, I've kept mine because I love them so much. So I just cut 2 little tailor-made tags, one in a contrast colour. You can see I've just used the same 3 colours, Secret Sea, Cherry Cobbler and Pool Party, and I've just sort of, well, we can't really see it on that one, but I've just kind of randomly given this, the little tag, an underling, an under shadow. And I had this tiny little Season's Greetings from a retired set, and I can't actually remember the name of the retired set, but it retired maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And again, I kept it because I really liked that small Season's Greetings. And so then I just needed something to tie it on with, and I've used about 20 to 25 centimetres of that gold cord, which is retired, but you could use any kind of baker's twine or twine or string or narrow ribbon that you've got in your stash. I just had this in my stash, so that's what I used, because gold worked well with the paper and the ribbon that I'd used. And then I'm just going to pop that in there and give it a tie. Now I need a dozen of these, and I'm nearly there. I've made probably 10 now. Okay, so tie that, snip, and done and dusted, just like that. As I said, easy to customise. You just measure what dimensions it needs to be to fit the thing you want to put in it. How tall do you want the sides, add it on all the way around, and pretty much that's all there is to it. Anyway, if you have any questions and you want to know more about how I made these boxes, please contact me. The details are going to pop up in the end card shortly. If you live in New Zealand and you would like to add any of the things that I've used today to your craft stash, you're welcome to shop with me. Again, there's a link to my online store in the end card and in the video description below. Anyway, I hope you have a happy and festive Christmas, and that you make something nice for your Christmas table, even if it's not this, maybe it's something else. So happy crafting, everyone.